You're home, there's not a lot to do, you're not supposed to go out and do anything, so we're just gonna kind of hang out in the house. Let's crack some drinks or let's have some cocktails. In that moment, like, this is pretty good. We can just like drink whenever we want and it's great. That's the trap that you can get into. After work, I'd have a drink, then it'd lead to usually another drink, but I was enjoying it. You chase that first little buzz or whatever and it feels good and you just want to keep that going, but you can't ever get back to that first one. So it kind of started that way, and then it became where it was like every night I'm having these 2-3 drinks, and you don't like people questioning your drinking because like you feel like you're in control and you fool yourself. And then what kind of leads to the next thing is you start to hide it. I was not feeling the best. I could tell I wasn't feeling good. I was missing work. I was having some different symptoms like leg pain and numbness. And then at that point too, my drinking had gotten to the point where any opportunity I have to get a drink when I could, I was thinking about it constantly. I was a total slave to the alcohol. They basically were saying, well, you're probably going to die if you don't have this transplant. Liver transplant is a very bloody surgery, so it just wasn't an option for me. This is going to be tough now. Maybe it's not going to heal.
Hey everybody, this is Will Gordon from the Willpower Podcast, briefly coming on before this next excellent episode to remind you all that did you know that 76%, you heard that right, 76% of you that follow my content regularly have not subscribed to my channel yet, and I'm really wondering why that is. So if you could, the easiest and freest way to help support my show is to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Like it, share it, send it to people that you think it might help. Because that's what I'm doing here. I've been through it. I lost my liver. I lost my kidney. I had such a severe alcohol addiction that I feel you, okay? I understand what you're going through. And I'm really hoping that these stories are helping. So if you want to hear these stories keep coming, then please hit that subscribe button. It'll be the best decision that you'll ever make. Thank you so much for supporting me, and I really hope you enjoyed this next episode. I heard it was a pretty good one. Take care, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to a very special episode of the Willpower Podcast. I am very pleased and thankful that I have a very special guest on today. His name is Jacob Schulze. He runs the Instagram account Feel Sober Good. He is a liver cirrhosis survivor, and a grateful one at that. So this is going to be one of those conversations, guys, similar to the one I had with Aaron, in the sense that we have all been through this, myself included. And Jacob here is going to share his story as well. But it's just a fascinating topic that I think is going to help a lot of people. So, Jacob, thank you so much for coming on the Willpower Podcast with Will Gordon. And how you doing today, bud?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. Very grateful to be saying that right now, as you are, I'm sure, too. So.
Yeah, some days are just a little more brighter than usual. I was really looking forward to this conversation because, like we were saying off air, these are the types of conversations I feel like that are the most helpful, that they're the most useful for people out there listening or watching. Don't you think?
I agree. Yeah, I mean, because this is real. Like, this is something that both of you and I have experienced. Your story is fascinating to me. I've seen your posts on what you do with your social media and stuff, and it gives hope to other people. And like for me, like seeing what you went through, very similar stories, timelines even in some respects. I think what we kind of talked about, and but yeah, I think this is real. We live this. You had a liver transplant. Did not have the liver transplant, so it's kind of it's two different sides of it, and so hopefully anyone listening can maybe get some benefit, get some hope from what we have to share today, or from our experiences, or just be able to relate to what we're going through and what they may have went through.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the part of your story where you didn't have to get the liver transplant, which is amazing because let me tell you a little backstory to that. Yeah. So in 2020, when it really got off the rails for me and I was still in denial of my whole situation that was going on, like I was drinking myself crazy. So I was reluctantly went to the hospital, and then I detoxed for a week. And then I did 125 days sober. I talk about that all the time, but that was really, really hard and super difficult, and I fell off the wagon. So explain to me or tell me a little bit about your cirrhosis story. Like, how did that happen to you?
Yeah, it's interesting. 2020 was a pivotal year when it really made it where the drinking kind of went a little bit off the rails, like as you put it,
Mhm.
because of the situation of just being, for one, not be able to go do anything. There's that uncertainty of what is going on in the world. Like, are we all gonna like get this, and fight for our lives to survive this disease, that this pandemic? And so there's that uncertainty. Um, I helped my family run a business, and so we had to try to figure out how to navigate as essential workers, as essential business to
Mhm.
operate. And so there was a lot of extra stress. There was a lot of a lot more, just like you're home, you're bored, you're drinking, so you're using the drinking for stress relief, for um, trying to just make things interesting, as makes it feel good. You kind of forget what's going on in the world right now. and
Mhm.
uh, and so that's when it really spiraled. It had slowly progressed for me. It was a slow progression, and then that was kind of the turning point where it really set me back. And
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. You mentioned a good point there. I mean, and I feel like this part of sobriety, or why we drink rather, is so overlooked. And it's a simple fact of boredom. I mean, I can't not tell you the amount of times where I was just trying to fill that space, that hole in my life, that boredom, even though I could have been pursuing many different interests. I could have been pursuing all the things that excite me, whatever I'm curious about. Instead, I was so hooked on booze being my solution to all my problems, even though they just amplified them.
yeah.
So that boredom component of drinking is so major. Like when I talk to the people that I sober mentor, and that's like one of the number one reasons. It's like boredom and like lack of like male friendship. It's really crazy how many people mention those two things.
Sure.
So like boredom for you, like what did that look like
Yeah, you'd set
in
up
the context of drinking,
yeah,
obviously?
your boredom would be just like, you're home, there's not a lot to do. You're not supposed to go out and do anything, so we're just gonna kind of hang out in the house. Hey, let's crack some drinks, or let's have some cocktails. And
Hmm.
now it's not so bad. Like, hey, this seems, in that moment, like, this is pretty good. We can just like drink whenever we want, and it's great. And that's the trap that you can get into, because it feels good for a while, and then it becomes, something that doesn't feel good anymore. And you
Hmm.
don't even enjoy it anymore. But yeah, the boredom aspect would be like just trying to find any excuse to drink, like if.
Hmm.
And so, and then it made things feel good for a while. And that's kind of the context of my Instagram, feel sober good, because I'm realizing how much better sobriety feels, that I never imagined it would. But we'll get to that,
Yeah.
I'm sure, eventually. But yeah.
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. And really great handle name. I'm surprised that one wasn't taken yet, because it's just a good one. Like you just, when I see it, I'm like, I just like that one. I just like the way it stands out. It has a good kind of uplifting tone to it. So
Thank
it's a
you.
good choice.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about like what was your drinking style like? Like what did it? How did it progress to the point of cirrhosis, man? Like I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, um it would be one of those things where I would, after work or something like that, I'd have a drink, and then it'd lead to usually another drink. And sometimes, I might maybe go for another drink, and I wasn't maybe mixing them as strong then. I was just, but I was enjoying it. You get that first little buzz or whatever, and it feels good, and you
Mhm.
chase it the rest of the way, and you just want to keep that going, but you can't ever get back to that first one. um,
No.
but but so it kind of started that way, and then it became, where it was like every night I'm having, you know these 2 3 drinks. Um, and then after a while, it's kind of like, do you really, my wife started to question things like, do you really need to drink every night, um, and do you really need that other drink, do you need to go to, because I had the, our bar was down in the basement, so pretty much when I went down to the basement, she kind of knew what I was up to,
Oh, you had like a man cave bar in your
man cave
home?
bar, yeah, just like a.
Oh man, that's
It
dangerous.
is dangerous. It is very
It's cool
dangerous.
in like commercials, and it's cool in like theoretical,
I th- I th-
thinking. But
I thought I was living the dream, like every man's dream. They got the bar is stocked, the fridge is stocked,
yeah,
TV's there. You got you can watch the football, whatever.
yeah.
So so
And it's like a little hiding zone too, isn't it? I
it
mean,
yes,
when you think about it, I mean,
yeah,
what is a man cave? It's a place to hide from the people. Well, I'm putting words in your mouth there, but if I had a man cave, I would be living down there, and I would be resentful if anyone tried to take me away from my alcohol first and foremost, and in my time alone, because I was a selfish person back then. So
hmm yeah.
I can only
You
imagine.
that's what it makes you. You kind of start to get. And you don't like people questioning your drinking because like you feel like you're in control, and if
Hmm.
and it's like just let me have this. Like I've had a bit, I had a, I make I had a hectic
Oh, I had a
day.
hell of a day.
I need this.
Hmm.
And you fool yourself, and then if you do get what kind of leads to the next thing is after you start getting questioned about it a little bit, and especially by people who are close to you that are seeing it. Is you start to hide it more, and you're hiding it, you've been hiding it already with other people as best you can, and now people who are kind of aware are you're also starting to hide it from them, and that's the dangerous cycle I think that we can get into, and what
Yeah, let's
leads to
talk
those
about that.
situations. Yeah.
So hiding alcohol, man, that was like my MO. That was literally not my favorite thing to do. It was actually my least favorite thing to do, but my favorite thing to do as an alcoholic was to hide my stashes, my Poland Spring bottles. I would fill them up, and I would strategically place them in places that I knew that my wife would not probably go and find. That being said, she found every single one of them. I would forget where I put them 80% of the time. So I would have these like panic attacks in the middle of the day or whatever, night, doesn't matter what time of the day it was, because I was drinking all the time. And I would freak out if I could not find it. And then I remember, she eventually did find it, and she would, dump them out. And then I would just go right back to the store, that night or whatever. So it was a horrible, horrible way to live. And I do not recommend it to anyone. And I hope anyone out there watching or struggling, please reach out to some medical support, because if you're trying to quit on your own and do it cold turkey, that's a recipe for a serious, crucial disaster, and it can kill you. So please do not do that.
Mhm.
But yeah, so you were saying
Yeah, no, that's a good point
about hiding?
when you're talking
Hmm.
about just how it does feel like that part of it. It feels doesn't feel good. I mean, it feels good to extent you're thinking you're being able to drink like you want to, but you have to do it in a way that is deceitful, and so I it's his name is I'm trying to think of his handle. Austin Carr is the one. Yeah, Austin Carr, I think, and he always
Okay.
talks about the show drink, and like in some of his little some of his talks, and I really enjoy listening to him, and
I'm gonna check him out. Austin Carr.
yeah,
Cool.
and
Yeah.
so yeah, he talks about the show drink, and so you have this one drink that looks like you're just having the one, or you've been sipping on it for a while, but then you're going, like you had mentioned, you had these bottles hidden, or you have maybe some other drinks, or you're just hitting a shot down in the man cave or whatever just to get the extra, and nobody really knows it, or they don't see it. They've only seen this one show drink that you've been drinking. um,
I
and
was not to cut you off, man, but I was the biggest show drinker there was. Like my wife, even today, she says like the least drunk that you would get was when we like would have to go out and like socialize, because you would just like harness that beer, because I would already be like shit faced already. I would already have all that booze already in the system, like ready to go, and I was already feeling good. But when I was actually at the party and I was actually at the function or whatever the hell we were doing, I would I would just be like kind of like, look at me, I got it all together, man. Like but I'm 250 pounds, my skin is yellow. Like it's clearly I have an issue with alcohol.
Mhm.
I would cut loose at weddings, though. I remember that, and that was always really embarrassing. And it feels good now to actually go to weddings sober and clear headed and actually not have to be so regretful of what I did and said from the previous night, man. Oh
Yeah.
God, I hated that. So you find out that you have cirrhosis. When did that happen?
It happened. I was starting to like in 2023. This was for me was when things started really like I was not feeling the best. I could tell I wasn't feeling good. I was missing work. I was having some different symptoms like leg pain and some of that numbness and stuff that you can get, like neuropathy and stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
can start to affect your nerves, and that's kind of a warning sign. Um, and because liver cirrhosis or liver disease or anything with liver is kind of a silent killer, and that it slowly you could be doing a lot of damage to your liver and not even realize it. um, Super noticeable, maybe unless you're maybe a medical profession or somebody who's familiar with what causes some of these things. But it you don't tend to, like, it's not like it's real painful necessarily in the early stages, because um, from what I've learned about the liver, it doesn't have like these pain receptors. So um, it's usually when it starts to get really inflamed, that's when you start to feel like, man, it's a little uncomfortable on my right side,
Mm-hmm.
and you start to have some of those things. But yeah, I wasn't feeling good. And then at that point too, my drinking had gotten to the point where any opportunity I have to get a drink, when I could, I was thinking about it constantly. I was a total slave to that, to the alcohol. And that was a terribly dark time, kind of as you described it. You don't, it's like, I need to do something about this. Something's got to give here. But then you start to talk yourself out of, like, man, I can't quit though, because what if, how, that means I'm gonna have to quit for good. That sounds
Mm-hmm.
just miserable. That sounds like it's gonna be awful. And so I
Yeah.
can't imagine never drinking. So, but I can't seem to, like, just have normal drinks. Like, I gotta order a double and finish that, and then get ready for another double right away. If I'm drinking, that's
Yeah.
that type of mindset. Like, it's just like consuming all my thoughts. Like, and then it also, when your liver starts like getting damaged. I don't know from what you experienced, but like, it starts to affect affects you
You.
mentally, and like you're more like grumpier, and you're not as friendly, and you don't really care about anything, and you're just kind of a jerk in some respects. You turn into
Oh yeah.
that, and it's like it
Well, think
it's
about it
just
this way, right, Jacob? It's like alcohol. What is it? It's ethanol. It's a poison. It's a depressant. Like scientifically classified as a depressant. So when you put a depressant on top of anxiety, you name it, right? Whatever. Low self-worth for me, insecurity, lack of ambition, like every single bad thing that a human can have in their life. I was using this to cope with it. So I was depressed and I put a depressant on top of it. And what happened then is just, yes, you're right. Like all of a sudden you start having brain fog. You don't remember what you said that the night before. You make commitments and you forget about them. You are unreliable as a family member or a friend, or a spouse. You are someone who just now is confused, angry. I would say angry would be a big one for sure. I was angry because I was an alcoholic. I was angry because I was treating my wife not the way she deserved to be treated. I was angry because I was financially like bankrupt. I was angry because I was a teacher, but at the same time I was like this contradictory character in a book or something, like drinking all night and teaching all day. It's like what was going on with me, man? I was so confused, and it all came to a head, eventually, and then I got the diagnosis, from a doctor who looked at me very, very compassionately, but at the same time aggravated, I would say, because I think he knew when he explained to me, like, hey, like, Will, like, this is your first time having an alcohol detox in your life. This is 2020. He's like, just so you know, if you decide to continue to drink, you will be back here, or I just won't see you because you'll be dead. Like he did say that to me. That's why I did those, like, white knuckled those 3.5 months sober, because of the way he worded it. That being said, the aftercare component to like my sobriety was desperately needed. Like I didn't, they were like, okay, goodbye. You know, like they're like, well, how are you going to maintain your sobriety? I was like, AA. And I would go and I would be resentful. I would be like, there's nothing I have in common with that person speaking right now. Like that person's life is so different from mine, and there's no commonality. There's no common ground there. And I was like a dry drunk at that point. Mm-hmm. Another thing we forgot to mention to people who are struggling or they think they're drinking too much, please right now stop what you're doing, and then you can revisit this later. Go immediately seek medical help and get a CMP, a complete metabolic panel, and a CBC. I think that's a complete blood count. I think I might have the phrasing incorrect there.
I think it might. Yeah, comprehensive metabolic panel, which will check all your liver enzymes. It will check your all the key elements like your liver enzymes. Yes. It will check your ALT, AST, your bilirubin.
There you go.
And then if you should also check your INR,
and INR,
and then you can kind of get a MELD score rating too, which is which I'm sure you're familiar with, Will. Do you know what your highest level was? Or
I maxed it out, man. That's 40? What the doctor said. Yeah, maxed out.
Okay.
He's like, you are at the it goes from 1 to 40. He's like, you are at 39 today, but yesterday you were at 40.
Oh wow.
He's like, and then who knows what it will be in 2 days from now. So that's like the amount of damage I did to myself.
I was at 31, so like that was the highest.
That's very high
that I had, which I was.
That's insanely high for someone who didn't need to get a transplant. Mm-hmm. So okay, let's talk about that, Jacob. Mm-hmm. So you had 30 MELD score. 30, like you said, it goes up to 40. 40, you basically have to get like a liver transplant, depending upon time and usage of alcohol.
Yep.
But you were at 30. So like, how did you fix this, man? Like, how did you, because I love that you're a grateful liver cirrhosis survivor. That's like the best thing that you could have put in your profile there. So how, like, what did you do, man? Like how?
I've learned a lot since then, but in that moment when I was sitting there, you know, I was at the transplant hospital, and they, you know, we were talking about, you know, the transplant just wasn't an option for me, and so we're discussing it, and I'm asking the doctors there, you know,
wasn't an option. What do you mean?
Oh, it wasn't for religious reasons. It wasn't an option for me. Yes,
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So like blood transfusions and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yes,
yeah. I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and like blood transfusions are, from my study of the Bible, that's something that I personally felt that I wanted to uphold, and so that was a factor in this whole discussion, because they basically were saying, you know, you're probably going to die if you don't have this transplant. And so it was kind of like, you know, it was a tough call, because the liver transplant is a very bloody surgery. And so it just wasn't an option for me. And so I'm kind of at that point, I'm trying to, you know, in my faith or my beliefs is just that I'm trying to be faithful to my God. So that's why I didn't go forward with that. But it's
amazing. You look great. So what did you do?
You're right.
I mean, like, what would you say? Like, nah, I'm good. I got it.
No.
What did you do? How did you do?
I was pretty much.
I'll fix this on my own.
I pretty much thought, you know, I remember having a discussion with the doctor that one of the times there when they said, you know, you're not eligible based on these reasons, and I felt like I was pretty upfront that was my reasons, and so I was a little, you know, disappointed that I had went through all the testing and everything, and it really came down to like me compromising my faith, and so it was a little bit tricky for me to deal with, I guess. And then, but I was trying to, at that point, grasp for anything, you know, and And I asked the doctor, I said, you know, is there any chance that the liver could heal on its own? And that, you know, a very kind doctor, um, compassionate. You know, he just put his hand on my shoulder, just kind of rubbed my shoulder, and didn't say much of anything. You know, just kind of. But his silence said everything. You know, and so my feeling was that, um, you know, this is going to be tough now. Maybe it's not going to heal. And so I kind of was starting to really lose hope. Like I was losing, I haven't really ever experienced a lot of depression in my life, but you know, I was kind of feeling like, man, I really screwed up this time. Like I have a beautiful family, 3 daughters. Um, I have a lot, I'm young, and what did I do to myself here? And kind of just, you know, feeling sorry for myself a little bit, but also just upset with myself, mad at myself that I let it get to this point. And it's one of the most awful feelings that you can experience um, because you know, you see, you start, you get, when I get home and I can't do anything. I've lost like 60 pounds. I'm skin and bones. I'm, uh, jaundice, yellow. I look like, from people who saw me, they thought I was not going to make it, you know, if they were honest with me at that time. But they didn't tell me that then, but they tell me that now, you know, which I have no
Yeah.
problem with, you know, because that's how I felt too. Um, but there was a doctor on that transplant hospital that, um, told us, or asked us, what's our next plans, and so what's our next steps, you know. And my wife and I were sitting there, and we didn't really know, you know. At this point, it was, I give a lot of credit to my wife, you know, because she's the one that,
It's always the wives
she
that keep us grounded, isn't it?
yeah, because I kind of had like, was like planning my funeral, you know, like here's who I want my pallbearers to be. Here's, you know,
Oh
who do
my
I want to
God.
give my funeral talk. Like that's the mindset I'm thinking at, um, which my wife didn't want to have any part of that conversation, you know.
Yeah.
And and I'm so grateful to that, because she was just like, you're gonna get better, and we're gonna find a way. Um and so yeah, that doctor, there was a new doctor we hadn't seen the whole time, and she asked, have you ever thought about functional medicine? And my wife said, this is like an answer to my prayers, you know. She told me later, you know, because she had been starting to look into some of that. And so this doctor started talking about functional medicine and these ALA infusions, and different treatments that are more natural, kind of treating the cause, not the symptom. Um,
Can you elaborate on that? Because I don't know what you're referencing right now.
okay.
What are you talking
Yeah.
about
So
right now?
functional medicine is where it treats the cause, not the symptom. So Western medicine, or what we do in the doctors, you know, they give you a pill.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you have a headache, so they give you some
Talent. Yeah.
ibuprofen for your headache, right? So you didn't get a headache because you lacked ibuprofen, right?
Gotcha.
It
I
could have
see.
been your
I
neck
see where
was
you're going
out,
with this. Yeah.
you're down on magnesium, maybe you didn't drink enough
So
water.
like holistic medicine, kind of.
Yeah, it's more
Yeah.
just natural stuff that's not,
Natural.
you
Yeah.
know, it's more natural treatments and that sort of thing. So um, and so we started to look in that direction. So grateful to her. I actually reached out to her to thank her, um, not too long ago, and share an update, and she was just so, you know, beyond happy to see that she did remember me, you know. And sometimes you wonder, like, did whatever happened to that person, you know? Is he still alive, you know? Um, and I said, you know, if the fact that you spoke up and told us to look into some of this stuff, and we did, and and so
Okay, so
yeah,
what? So
that's what.
what other? What? So you got functional medicine,
Yes.
which kind of has like an Eastern flavor to it. It sounds. What was the types of procedures or
Yeah.
What was going on?
Yeah. So it's really, it almost seems like you go back to like, the way God intended us to, you basically went
Hmm.
into his cabinet of like natural things like supplements and eating healthier, healthy diet, watching, a specific diet that you're really focused on, cutting out your sugars right away, because when I was drinking, whiskey and the mixers and stuff, that's a lot of sugar, high fructose corn syrup and
You had like
sometimes.
5 drinks or something. That's like 5 Coca-Colas. It's like
Yep.
you're
Yep.
that's
Yep.
crazy amount of sugar.
And
Crazy.
yeah, and so uh yeah, so you, and plus like bourbons and whiskeys and stuff are some of the
They have sugars too. Yeah,
they're pretty much
it's
the worst
basically all
ones.
sugar.
Yeah, so, and that was some of the first, the things that we started looking into was, okay, like especially early, you need, your liver needs a rest, like it needs a break. So like we got to eat clean, we got to cut out sugars, even fruit, for a while, just because we got to give your liver time to like really like just get some time to
Balance.
just balance and take care of itself and kind of
Yeah.
heal itself. If we can't give it stuff that's going to make it, and that's really 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 difficult, because when you cut out drinking, sugar cravings are intense, like, I mean, like, unbelievable.
That's my only vice,
Yeah.
Jacob. That's my only vice these days is sugar. Like when I'm feeling like I'm at a party, man, I'll just grab a bag of Skittles, dude, and just go woo. That's the only thing, because the dopamine is so similar to the dopamine high that you would get from the initial first drink. But I'll have a couple, and I'm like, all right, I'm good. But yeah, it's like sugar, and cutting sugar out of your diet is so instrumental with like the overall uh, functioning of your body in general. Like you don't have those crashes, you don't have those brain fogs, you don't have the hyperactivity that sugar gives you, right?
Hmm.
And cutting it out, especially post cirrhosis, is a very smart move. So kudos to you on that. What else did you have to fix?
Yeah, so the other treatment that I highly recommend, or like to at least try, because
Mhm.
this was the one that the doctor in the transplant hospital had mentioned, and I'm so grateful. I want to just mention is the thing about
Go,
functional
bring it up.
medicine and Western medicine is that they kind of clash. They don't. They're kind of have different viewpoints on like
They don't
how.
kind of, they clash.
Okay, yeah, they do. I'm just trying to be like,
One has like a pharmaceutical, lot of money behind it, and the other on the other end
right.
is from like thousands of years of trial and error through like nature and plant medicines and
Yeah.
stuff, which I am a very big component of.
Okay.
But uh, that being said, I'm team whatever helps.
Exactly, whatever helps, and that's kind of the way I would put it. And I'm trying to be like um, tactful in the fact that
Of
there's a
course.
lot of good that these doctors do. They gave you a transplant. Western medicine did the transplant for you. That
Yes,
saved
like
your life. You know,
like Western medicine saved my life. That's
so
correct.
so there's different sides to it. We're both evidence that either way can help. You have to figure out. We're not doctors. We're just sharing our experience. This is what
Exactly.
worked for us. If it works
Yeah.
for you, um, and sometimes too, I mentioned not being able to have a liver transplant because that was, um, religious reasons. But you might not be able to get a liver transplant because you have to not be drinking for a certain amount of time, and you don't have that time isn't on your side, or
Six,
there's
six
not a
months.
there's not a liver available, right? So maybe
Yeah,
there's not a
you got to be
liver
six
available.
months,
So
six
that's
months
where,
sober. So rule, yeah.
so yeah, 6 months is what it is. Yeah.
Well, in most cases, there are exceptions like there was at the hospital that I was transplanted at. For they said 4 months is plenty. You're good.
Yep.
But
So
I also had to advocate, for myself in the truest, most vulnerable, genuine way possible. So,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt you.
No, I just want to say, like, so there may be times where time isn't on your side, or um and so you're looking for, that's where some of the things, treatments that I used, if you tried them, if you're looking for hope, or you're looking for an alternative, um it might work. But the one thing I wanted to mention is the ALA infusions. And so the reason why I said this doctor, the fact that she was willing to, even though she worked at the transplant hospital, she saw that they basically had done everything they could, and now They just have to I have to discharge me from the hospital, and got to figure it out from here,
Mm-hmm.
And they could continue to monitor me, see if I change my mind or whatever, and look at that sort of thing. But she did mention it, and I'm so grateful to her, because sometimes some doctors aren't willing to say, you know, maybe there's an alternative way to do this. Maybe even though it hasn't been
Well,
FDA approved, maybe this would work. And
yeah,
and
I
if you
mean,
don't have no hope, like, give some hope.
yeah.
So alpha lipoic acid ALA infusions, that was what worked really well for me. Also, in addition to some homeopathic type things and supplements and diet and that sort of thing, is the ALA infusions. If you do look up the research on it, and if you look me up on Instagram, DM me, I can send you an email with some information about that, just so you're maybe some areas, because there's a book that was written by a doctor that if you did the research on it, or you read into it, you'll see that there's actually been a lot of success in healing livers because of ALA infusions. And so it's like a super antioxidant thing. And so if you can take it in a pill form. I take it in a pill form now, but at the time I was getting these infusions, and it just helps heal a lot of organs. It helps heal your kidneys. There's a lot of different benefits that it does. Now, it's not like I'm not saying it's going to heal you or everything, or save it, but it does a lot. There's a lot of good properties and a lot of good attributes, and a lot of studies that have shown that it has had success. So it's something definitely worth looking into. You probably need to find it at like a wellness clinic, or I went to Forum Health, was the hospital. That was a functional medicine hospital that offered that,
Hmm.
that was local to me. So
So we were just talking about your holistic approach to it,
yep,
and and you had positive results to it, which is amazing.
yep,
So were you getting your blood monitored
yep.
still,
I was
like
getting
your
my blood
lab stuff?
monitored and my labs. Like, my most recent, just as a follow up here, just to kind of wrap sum up. There's a lot in between here, but um, and my current MELD score is at like 12, the last time I checked. So it's come way down. It's not even, I wouldn't even be eligible
That's
for a liver transplant.
no, that's incredible.
My numbers are, I've had some doctors that I hadn't seen, because I kind of just went to get my numbers checked, and they hadn't seen me since I was there before. And they almost didn't recognize me. Like, wait, you were the guy that, had the 3 kids, and wow, like I can't believe that. But
It- yeah.
so my I guess my point is, it worked for me. Maybe it could work for you. And
Mhm.
so if you want more information about what I did, you can DM me on that Instagram, and I can share
Yeah.
more details about, just to show you what I did. And I would say, do your own research, check with, make sure you do what's comfortable for you. But I'm kind of curious, Will, too, about your.
Before we jump into
Yeah.
the recovery part of myself, full disclosure though, guys, we are not doctors
Yes.
by any means,
No.
so please seek medical support. I cannot stress that enough. This is my show, and this is something that I'm very very mindful of when I give advice, or any kind of alternative options towards something as serious as alcoholism. So please do that.
Yeah. Good
So
point,
yes,
Will.
you would.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just, I just had to get that out there. But
Yeah.
yeah, my recovery, is that what you're asking about?
Yeah. Well, we have two different sides. I had the functional medicine, homeopathic, diet, supplements, all this different thing like that, exercise and whatnot after the fact. But that was kind of my route to success. But your route was one I was seriously looking at, and the liver transplant. So you um I'd like to kind of hear a little bit about what your experience was, because I was thinking about that might be a possibility for me at one point. So
Yeah.
yeah, like, how did you get to the point of, like, your experience with the hospital and stuff?
So I was in the I was so I knew that my liver was so far gone at this point that I needed the transplant. However, there was that conflict with that 6 month rule. So the hospital I was at wouldn't transplant me because I wasn't 6 months sober; I was 4. So what I had to do was we had to figure out other options. So the doctor that actually gave me that news, who I thought was like not a nice person, ended up being like my savior, because what she did was she actually referenced a colleague that she helped train become a doctor at the hospital at UMass in Western Massachusetts here, and gave her a ring, referenced it, and then I followed up that next morning at 6 a.m. and next thing I know, I'm at that hospital, and I'm just and then I got put on I was there for a couple of weeks, but then I finally got listed. And then once I got listed, they were like, you only have 2 weeks left of your life unless you get this transplant. So it was life or death. That's basically where I was at. I mean, they had hospice in the room with my mother and father, and my mother was irate. She's like, get out of here. Like, he's not dying, you know? And you had to kind of keep that mentality. I'm glad my mom was kind of a little harsh about that, because I'm her baby boy and I'm the youngest of four. So it's like, I totally understand where she was coming from. And I was like that. I was like, I'm not dying. I'm not going to do it. No, like I want to live. Not only that realization only came at the very tail end of it. Those last like 2 weeks, I was like, I really want to live. I don't want to die, you know? And then I had all these complications. So I get the transplant. It was the second attempt at it. The first one didn't fit well. That's what they said. They said they had to. They went and they IV'd me up, and I went in, and then next thing I know, it's just too big. It's just too big of an issue. So the liver just didn't fit. It just did not fit within my stomach. Like it was just too big, they thought. So I went back up to my room, and then I had to go through the entire process again. But then the next following evening, actually 2 nights later, they said, okay, we think we found the right match. I said my prayers. I talked to my father. I said goodbye to my mother. I said, like, you know, as if, you know, I don't wake up or whatever. You know, I love you. And it was really difficult to do that twice. Yeah. I had to do that twice because of the first time I did it too. The second time was even harder for some reason, but but it you know, I was under the knife for it was like a 3 days. It was like 2-day surgery, and then I went to sleep on a Monday, woke up on a Thursday. So that's how sick and out of it I was. And then I told the story a little bit. I don't think I've actually told the full story, but 2 weeks later, after I was rehabbing from the liver transplant, my stomach burst, and I went to septic shock, and I lost half my colon and gallbladder, and they had to do an emergency ileostomy surgery, which they said there was about 4% chance of survival if they did this surgery. I mean, I was at 4% chance of survival at that point before they did that surgery. So I was immunosuppressed. I was on dialysis still. I was just waking up from the rehabbing from the liver transplant. So, and then all of a sudden, boom, my stomach burst. So they were like, we don't know if he's going to survive the night. And that's when I actually had my, you know, speak to God, higher power, whatever you want to call it. I call it, it felt to me like a loving embrace energy that was all understanding, all knowledgeable, all compassionate, all, you know, full of wisdom and just understanding in the truest sense of the word. And then when I started to kind of go through my transgressions and the people that I've overlooked in my life and kind of hurt, and I said sorry from the most genuine, authentic place I could possibly could. I started I started to improve. I started to actually feel better. I started to wake up and like come to, and then the next thing I know, I'm in a room, my wife's there, my father's there, my mom's there, and I'm like in tears because I'm like, I can't believe I'm alive. And none of the doctors can believe him, and the surgeons can believe I'm still alive too. And there were many other complications post that as well, but nothing to the extent of my stomach rupturing and then going into septic shock and then almost dying. And then going back to the point where you mentioned, like, if, you know, it must sound nice when people have like us had support. Yes, we're extremely grateful and lucky for that. We are, like, I am so lucky to have that support system. But if you are someone who doesn't, right, guess what? Like, we will be your support system. Like, we're here to help, right? And I answer every DM. I answer every message that I see going when I post an episode. I am immediately in the message boards, and I have my sober mentoring. So if you ever need any kind of support, like, I can help you out. We can help you out, right? So you're not alone in this. Like, when I was in that hospital bed and I would watch YouTube videos to inspire me to hopefully like quit drinking and like figure this whole thing out, that really helped. And it wasn't like a support system that I had. It was just someone out there just sharing their story. that it resonates. It really does help. Like hearing these kind of stories in knowing that it's possible and there's hope available somewhere. And all you got to do is just take the initiative and reach out and grab it. And
Yeah, if you're going through
and that's what
if
we're
you're
here
going
for.
through it and you listen, that really helped me, was listening to other people that I could relate with. And it was so because sometimes when you talk about it, you're ashamed of this stuff, and so you don't want to really share it with everyone, and then you just kind of hold it in and keep it to yourself, and then you start listening to other people that, hey, they've been through that, they do that too, um, they're admitting that they used to hide it in all these different ways, and they had all these different things that they're not proud of, but that I can relate with, and I realize that, okay, I need to do something about it.
Yes, you need to do something about it. Do not wait until it's too late, and do not be like I did and be a dry drunk. Really embrace your sobriety. If you're struggling, please reach out to some support. Reach out to help anyone, a medical professional,
Yeah,
anyone.
and if
And seeks just that you're not alone. Like
yeah,
there's so many of us suffering in this, and I was suffering in silence. I did not want anyone to know about this. I was a teacher. I was a lacrosse coach, a hockey coach. I was all these things. I was doing the things that I thought would constitute a healthy person, but I was inside just crushing. I was like dying. I was dying inside, and alcohol was just expediting that process. So let's end there. So Jacob, if people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
My primary is feel_sober_good. On Instagram is my primary account that I prefer, but I do have one on TikTok, if that's what you prefer. And then on Facebook, they don't do the underscores. They allowed the dots, so it's feel.sober.good. So I've got Facebook too, if that's what your preference. Everyone has different ones that they like to use. And
Yeah.
if you want to, like any, give me a follow, give Will a follow. If we can be of help to you, we're
Yeah.
really, that's what we want to be. That's what, at least for me, my goal is not to try to promote my. I'm just not. I'm just kind of doing this more on a.
You're a humble dude. That's why
hobby and
I
stuff.
I really enjoyed this conversation, Jacob, because you're a humble guy and you're not showy. You're just trying to help, and that's what this channel was always intended to be about, to just help as many as we can.
Awesome.
I'm glad you mentioned your handles there. I actually just started myself a TikTok last night. My wife helped me with that because I'm not a TikTok guy. I'm almost 40, but not like that matters. But I kind of had to get hip to it last night. So my wife was being really cool about that. So I started a TikTok last night. It's at the Willpower Pod, okay, because someone else had that on their handle. So it's the Willpower Pod, at the Willpower Pod on TikTok.
Give
But
me a follow. Yeah.
again, I have to mention this too, guys. I'm sorry to keep having to make you suffer through this,
No,
Jacob,
not
but
at all.
like 70, it's almost at 80% of the people that regularly watch my content, guys, like I don't know why you're not doing it, but please, if you could, it would mean just the world to me. Just click that subscribe button. It just would make the channel just grow a little bit faster and reach a wider audience to just get this message right to the person that needs to hear it right now. So that's why I'm advocating so much on hitting that subscribe button. But thank you guys all out there for watching this episode, listening to this episode. This is why we do it. We so appreciate your time and how much you're paying attention to our stories. And when, like we said earlier, we're just here to help.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching this episode. Thank you for being here. And I'm entirely grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you so much, Jacob, for coming on.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you,
take care,
everyone. Thanks,
everybody.
Will.